message is being delivered, don't let her touch the horse. The morning began like any other in the quiet countryside. Soft sunlight spread across the fields, touching the tall grass and old wooden fences with a warm glow. Birds moved from tree to tree, filling the air with gentle sounds. The village was small, the kind of place where everyone knew each other and days usually passed without surprises. People believed life here was safe, slow, and predictable. A young girl lived at the edge of this village with her family. She was curious by nature, always watching, always learning. She loved the open land, the fresh air, and especially animals. Since she was small, she felt a strong connection to them. She believed animals could understand feelings even when humans could not. Horses were her favorite. She had seen them many times from a distance, running freely or standing calmly in fields. To her, they looked strong but kind, powerful but gentle. That morning she woke up earlier than usual. There was something different in the air, though she could not explain it. She looked out of her window and noticed how still everything felt. Even the birds seemed quieter. She brushed off the strange feeling and got ready for the day. After breakfast, she stepped outside, breathing in the cool air. The smell of earth and grass made her smile. Not far from her home, a horse had arrived the previous evening. It belonged to a visitor passing through the area. The horse was tied near a stable, calm and silent. Its coat shone in the morning light, and it stood tall and proud. Some villagers had already gathered nearby, admiring it from a distance. They spoke about how beautiful and strong it looked. No one thought there was any reason to worry. The girl noticed the horse almost immediately. Her heart filled with excitement. She felt drawn to it as if something was calling her closer. She slowly walked toward the stable, her eyes fixed on the animal. Each step felt light, as though she was moving toward something special. She did not hear her mother calling her name from behind, distracted by the sight in front of her. As she moved closer, the world around her seemed to fade. All she could see was the horse. Its eyes looked calm, but there was something deep and unreadable in them. Still, the girl felt no fear. She believed kindness was always met with kindness. She raised her hands slightly, imagining how the horse's warm skin would feel under her fingers. At the same time, far from the village, a man was traveling quickly along a rough road. He was carrying an urgent message. His clothes were dusty, his face tired, but his eyes showed determination. He had been told clearly that the message must be delivered as soon as possible. There was no time to waste. He knew what could happen if he was late. The road was uneven, filled with stones and sharp turns. His vehicle moved slowly, fighting against the path. He checked the sky and the land ahead, pushing himself to go faster. The message echoed in his mind again and again. It was short, but its meaning was heavy. He could not afford to forget a single word. Back in the village, the girl was now only a few steps away from the horse. The adults nearby were busy talking among themselves. Some were discussing daily chores, others were planning the rest of their day. No one noticed how close the girl had come. To them, it looked harmless. A child near a calm animal was nothing unusual here. The horse shifted its weight slightly. The movement was small, but it caused a faint sound as its hoof pressed into the ground. The girl paused for a moment, then smiled. She took it as a sign that the horse was aware of her presence. She spoke softly, her voice gentle and full of warmth. She believed the horse could hear her, could feel her good intentions. The air felt heavier now, though no one could explain why. A light breeze passed through the grass, bending it gently. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked once and then went silent. These small changes went unnoticed, but they added to the unseen tension building in the moment. The message bearer continued his journey, facing delay after delay. At one point, the road narrowed, forcing him to slow down. He clenched his hands, frustrated but focused. Turning back was not an option. He remembered the serious expressions of those who had sent him. They trusted him to deliver the warning in time. The girl took another step forward. Her hand was now close enough that she could almost feel the warmth of the horse without touching it. Her heart beat faster, not from fear, but from joy. She had dreamed of this moment many times. To her, it felt like a simple and innocent wish coming true. Around her, the village remained calm. No alarms, no sudden movements, no signs of danger. Everything looked peaceful on the surface. Yet beneath that calm, time was quietly running out. The man carrying the message finally saw the village in the distance. Relief washed over him, but it was mixed with urgency. He pushed forward with renewed strength. He knew he had only moments left. As the girl lifted her hand higher, the moment stretched, fragile and uncertain. Neither she nor the people around her knew how close they were to a turning point that could change everything. The morning sun continued to shine, unaware of the silent race between curiosity and warning, between innocence and danger, between a simple touch and a message that had not yet arrived. The horse stood quietly near the stable, its rope tied loosely to a wooden post. From the outside, it looked calm and well-trained. Its breathing was steady, and its body barely moved except for the slow rise and fall of its chest. Anyone watching would believe it was gentle and safe. Many villagers had already walked past it without a second thought. To them, it was just another animal passing through their peaceful land. But this horse was different in ways that could not be seen easily. It had traveled long distances and had faced moments that changed how it reacted to people. In the past, it had been calm most of the time, but it had also shown sudden fear when touched unexpectedly. Especially when someone unfamiliar came too close, the horse's reaction could change without warning. This was not because it was bad, but because it remembered things humans could not see. The visitor who owned the horse knew this well. He had been careful, always keeping distance between the horse and strangers. He had planned to leave early that morning before many people gathered around, but unexpected delays forced him to stay longer. He trusted that the villagers would simply look and move on. He did not expect a child to feel so drawn to the animal. The girl stood there, unaware of any hidden risk. To her, the horse was beautiful and peaceful. She noticed the way its ears moved slightly, listening to the sounds around it. She thought it was listening to her voice. She spoke softly again, saying gentle words without realizing how close she had come. Her hand trembled slightly, not from fear, but from excitement. Nearby, her mother was busy speaking with another woman. They were talking about daily life, about weather and work, about simple things that filled their days. Every now and then the mother glanced around, thinking her daughter was still close. She did not notice how far the girl had wandered. Trust came easily in this village. Nothing bad ever seemed to happen here. The horse lifted its head a little higher. Its eyes followed the movement of the girl's hand. There was no anger in its expression, but there was tension. Its muscles tightened just slightly, enough to show discomfort to someone who understood horses well. But no such person was watching at that moment. A few steps away, two older men discussed the horse's strength and size. One of them mentioned that animals could be unpredictable, but the comment was casual, almost forgotten as soon as it was said. Laughter followed, and the conversation moved on. The warning, though spoken, did not reach the right ears. Far from the village, the message bearer continued his journey. Sweat ran down his face as he moved faster than before. His body was tired, but his mind remained sharp. He remembered the reason behind the message clearly. He had been there when the past incident happened. He had seen how quickly a peaceful moment could turn serious. That memory pushed him forward. The path became smoother as he neared the village, but people along the way slowed him down. Someone stopped him to ask for help. Another asked where he was going in such a hurry. Each delay felt heavy. He answered quickly and moved on, repeating the warning in his mind so he would not forget it. Back at the stable, the girl was now very close. She could feel the warmth coming from the horse's body. She smiled to herself, thinking this was the happiest moment of her day. She believed that kindness was enough to build trust. She had never been taught that some situations carried risks that could not be seen. The horse shifted again, scraping its hoof lightly against the ground. Dust rose in a small cloud. The sound caught the girl's attention, but she did not step back. Instead, she paused, thinking the horse was simply adjusting its position. She waited patiently, believing that patience would make the horse comfortable. The air around them felt tight, though no one spoke of it. Even the chatter of the villagers seemed to soften. A few people glanced toward the stable, sensing something unusual but not understanding it fully. Still, no one stepped in. Life had taught them that fear was unnecessary in familiar places. The visitor who owned the horse finally noticed the girl. His heart skipped a beat. He opened his mouth to speak but hesitated. He did not want to cause panic. He took a step forward, planning to gently ask her to move away. But at that moment, someone called his name from behind, distracting him. He turned for only a second. That second felt longer than it was. The girl raised her hand higher. Her fingers were now just inches away from the horse. Her face showed pure happiness. This was not a moment of carelessness in her mind. It was a moment of connection. She believed the horse could feel her calm and respond in the same way. The message bearer finally reached the edge of the village. He could see people gathered near the stable. A sharp sense of fear rushed through him. He recognized the scene instantly. His pace quickened. He wanted to shout the warning, but his voice felt stuck in his throat as he pushed forward. Around the stable, the horse's breathing changed slightly. It was still quiet, but faster now. Its ears turned back for a brief moment. These were signs, small but important, that something was wrong, but the girl did not know how to read them. The villagers continued their conversations, unaware of how close the moment was to changing everything. The sun still shone brightly, and the day still looked peaceful. Nothing about the scene suggested danger to those who did not know what to look for. The message bearer broke into a run. His heart pounded loudly in his chest. He was close now, close enough to see the girl, the horse, and the narrow space between them. He opened his mouth to speak, preparing to deliver the warning that had driven him all this way. As the girl's fingers moved closer, the air seemed to hold its breath. The horse stood still, the girl smiled, and the village waited without knowing it was waiting. Every step, every second, every breath now mattered more than anyone realized. The moment stretched longer than it should have. Time felt slow, heavy, and uncertain, as if the world itself was hesitating. The girl stood frozen between excitement and curiosity, her hands still raised, her eyes fixed on the horse. She had no idea that many small events, far away and close by, were all moving toward this single point in time. The horse sensed something it could not understand. It was not angry, and it was not wild, but it was alert. Its body remembered past moments when sudden touches had brought fear and confusion. Even though this place looked calm, its instincts stayed awake. The slight tightening of its muscles was not meant to harm anyone. It was a natural response, a quiet warning spoken without sound. The girl noticed the horse's ears move back for just a moment. She paused and lowered her hands slightly, thinking the animal might be listening more closely now. She smiled again, believing that going slowly was the right thing to do. She spoke in a soft voice, using gentle words, hoping the horse would feel safe with her. A few steps away, the visitor who owned the horse finally broke free from the distraction. He turned back and saw how close the girl was. Fear rose in his chest, sharp and sudden. He knew this situation too well. He had seen how quickly things could change when the horse felt surprised. He started walking fast toward them, trying to stay calm so he would not make things worse. At the same time, the message bearer ran through the narrow path leading to the stable area. His breath came in short bursts. His legs burned with effort, but he did not slow down. He could see the horse clearly now. He could see the girl standing too close. The scene matched the warning he carried in his mind. His fear turned into urgency stronger than anything he had felt before. The villagers began to notice the tension, though they did not fully understand it. Some voices lowered. A few people stopped talking and looked toward the stable. They felt something was wrong but could not say what. It was like sensing a storm before the clouds appeared. The girl lifted her hand again, just a little higher. She felt calm inside, unaware of the fear growing around her. In her world, nothing bad was happening. She believed the horse would accept her kindness. She believed that moments like this were simple and pure. The horse shifted its weight again. This time the movement was stronger. Its hoof pressed firmly into the ground, making a dull sound. Dust rose into the air. The rope tied to the post tightened slightly. These were clear signs of discomfort, but no one had taught the girl what they meant. The visitor was now close enough to speak. He opened his mouth, but his voice came out quieter than he wanted. He did not want to scare the horse by shouting. He raised his hand, signaling the girl to stop. But she was focused on the horse and did not notice him yet. The message bearer finally found his voice. He shouted, calling out urgently. His voice cut through the quiet air, sharp and full of warning. Several people turned toward him in surprise. The sound startled the girl. Her hand stopped in the air, her heart jumping at the sudden noise. The horse reacted to the shout as well. Its head lifted quickly and its body tensed. For a brief moment, everything felt fragile, like glass that could break with one wrong move. The rope pulled tighter as the horse stepped sideways, confused by the sudden sound and movement. The visitor rushed forward now, no longer caring about causing attention. He reached out, standing between the girl and the horse, creating distance. His body blocked the space just as the horse took another uneasy step. The girl stumbled back slightly, surprised and confused. The villagers gasped. Some stepped forward, others froze where they stood. The calm morning had changed in an instant. What once felt peaceful now felt uncertain. People began to realize how close the moment had come to becoming something serious. The message bearer reached them, breathing heavily. He repeated the warning, his voice shaking but clear. He explained that the horse could react suddenly if touched by someone unfamiliar. His words carried the weight of experience, not fear for fear's sake, but knowledge earned through difficult moments. The girl's eyes filled with confusion. She looked from the man to the horse, then to the adults around her. She did not understand why everyone looked so worried. She had only wanted to touch the horse. The idea that something could have gone wrong had never crossed her mind. The horse calmed slightly once the space around it opened. Its breathing slowed as the shouting stopped and people stepped back. The tension in its body eased, though it remained alert. The visitor gently spoke to the horse, using familiar sounds, slowly reassuring it. Silence settled over the group. The wind moved softly through the grass again, as if trying to return things to normal. The birds began to chirp once more, though their sounds felt distant now. The moment had passed, but its impact remained. The girl's mother rushed forward, pulling her daughter close. Her hands trembled as she held her, realizing how close she had come to losing control of the situation. Fear turned into relief, and relief turned into quiet gratitude. She thanked the men again and again, her voice unsteady. The message bearer bent forward, resting his hands on his knees, catching his breath. His body felt weak, but his heart felt lighter. He had made it in time. The warning had been heard. That was all that mattered. The villagers slowly returned to their conversations, but they were quieter now, more thoughtful. Some shook their heads, others whispered to each other. The feeling of safety they always trusted felt slightly different now. They understood that even familiar places could hold unseen risks. The girl stayed close to her mother, looking back at the horse one last time. She no longer felt excitement. Instead, she felt a strange mix of sadness and understanding, though she could not fully explain it. She realized that not everything beautiful was meant to be touched. As the visitor prepared to move the horse away, the message bearer stood watching, making sure there was enough distance. The sun still shone, the village still stood, and life continued. But the memory of that moment stayed with everyone who had seen it. What felt like a simple morning had turned into a powerful lesson. A lesson about time, awareness, and how quickly things could change. The race against time had ended, not with harm, but with understanding. And though no one spoke of it aloud, everyone knew they had been standing at the edge of something much bigger than they realized. After the tension slowly faded, the village did not return to normal right away. People stood quietly, each one thinking about what had just happened. The space near the stable felt different now, as if the air itself had learned something new. The girl stayed close to her mother, holding her hand tightly. She could feel her mother's grip was stronger than usual, filled with fear that had not yet fully disappeared. The mother knelt down and looked into her daughter's eyes. Her voice was soft, but it carried seriousness. She asked if the girl was okay. The girl nodded, still confused. She did not feel hurt, but she felt shaken inside. She asked why everyone had stopped her. She asked why touching the horse was suddenly such a big problem. The mother did not answer right away. She pulled her daughter into a gentle hug instead. The visitor who owned the horse stepped forward and spoke calmly. He apologized to the family and the villagers. He explained that he never wanted to cause fear or trouble. He shared that the horse had gone through difficult experiences in the past and could react without warning if it felt surprised. He explained that this did not make the horse bad, only sensitive. His words were simple, honest, and filled with care. As people listened, their expressions changed. What once felt like a peaceful animal now seemed more complex. They began to understand that not all dangers are loud or obvious. Some are quiet, hidden beneath calm surfaces. The villagers nodded, some with regret, some with understanding. A few parents pulled their children closer without saying anything. The message bearer finally stood upright, his breathing steady again. He wiped sweat from his forehead and looked around. His eyes met the girl's for a brief moment. He offered a small, reassuring smile. He did not want her to feel afraid of animals or of life. He wanted her to understand caution, not fear. In that smile was relief, gratitude, and the weight of responsibility fulfilled. The village elder stepped forward then. He was a man known for his wisdom and calm voice. When he spoke, people listened. He thanked the message bearer for his effort and courage. He reminded everyone that safety often depends on listening, patience, and awareness. His words were not meant to blame anyone, but to guide them. The horse stood quietly as the visitor gently adjusted the rope. The animal seemed calmer now that the space around it had cleared. The visitor spoke to it softly, using familiar sounds. Slowly, the horse relaxed, lowering its head slightly. Watching this, the girl felt a strange feeling inside her chest. She realized that the horse had been scared too, just like everyone else. The mother explained things gently to her daughter. She told her that love for animals is good, but understanding them is just as important. She explained that animals cannot always explain their feelings the way humans do. Sometimes, staying safe means keeping distance, even when curiosity feels strong. The girl listened quietly, her mind slowly opening to a new way of thinking. The villagers began to talk again, but the conversations were different now. They spoke about teaching children to observe before acting. They spoke about respecting animals and understanding limits. Some shared stories of moments when things almost went wrong in their own lives. The incident had opened a door to reflection. The visitor decided it was time to leave. He thanked the villagers for their understanding and prepared the horse for the journey. As he led the horse away, he moved slowly, carefully, making sure there was enough space between the animal and everyone else. The villagers watched in silence, feeling a mix of relief and respect. The girl watched too. This time, she did not move forward. She stayed where she was, holding her mother's hand. She felt a quiet sadness that the moment she had dreamed of could never happen. But she also felt something else growing inside her, awareness. She understood that not every desire should be followed without thought. As the horse disappeared down the path, the message bearer walked beside it for a short distance, making sure everything stayed calm. When he returned, he was thanked again. Some villagers offered him water, others offered kind words. He accepted with humility. To him, doing the right thing was enough. The rest of the day moved slowly. People returned to their homes, but the memory stayed fresh. Parents spoke to their children. Friends spoke to each other. The story spread quietly, not as gossip, but as a lesson. The village had learned something together. At home, the girl sat quietly near the window. She watched the fields, the trees, and the open sky. Her mind replayed the moment again and again. She realized how close she had come to something she did not understand. She did not feel scared anymore, but thoughtful. She understood that life could change quickly, even in familiar places. Her mother sat beside her and stroked her hair. She told her that curiosity is a gift, but wisdom grows when curiosity is guided. She told her that listening can be just as important as acting. The girl leaned into her mother's side, feeling safe. That evening, as the sun lowered and the sky turned soft shades of orange and gold, the village felt peaceful again. But it was a deeper peace now, shaped by awareness rather than habit. The fields looked the same, the houses stood strong, and life continued, but something inside the people had shifted. The girl closed her eyes and remembered the horse, not as a dream, but as a reminder. She knew she would always love animals, but she would also remember the lesson of that day. She learned that warnings matter, even when they arrive just in time. She learned that understanding can protect where excitement cannot. And in the quiet of the evening, as the village settled into rest, the meaning of the moment stayed alive, not as fear but as growth. Everyone slept knowing that a simple message, delivered with urgency and care, had turned a possible tragedy into a lesson that would last a lifetime. The days that followed passed quietly, but the village was no longer exactly the same. Life returned to its usual rhythm. People went to work, children played, animals moved through the fields, but something deeper had changed. The memory of that morning stayed alive, not as fear, but as awareness. It became one of those moments people carry with them without always speaking about it. The girl slowly returned to her normal routine. She laughed again, played again, and talked freely, but inside her something new had formed. She thought more before acting. She watched more closely. When she saw animals in the fields, she admired them from a distance. She still felt love and curiosity, but now it was mixed with understanding. She realized that respect sometimes means stepping back, not stepping forward. Her mother noticed the change. She felt proud, not because her daughter had been scared, but because she had learned. One evening, they sat together outside, watching the sky turn dark. The mother spoke softly about life, about how even good intentions need guidance. She explained that listening saved them that day. The girl nodded, holding those words close. The message bearer stayed in the village for a short while before continuing his journey. During that time, people spoke to him often. They thanked him, asked about his travels, and listened when he shared lessons from his experiences. He never spoke with pride. Instead, he spoke with calm honesty. He reminded them that warnings are not meant to take joy away, but to protect it. Before leaving, he visited the girl and her family. He told her that she had been brave, even though she did not know it at the time. He told her that learning is a part of growing, and she had taken her first step toward wisdom. The girl smiled shyly. His words stayed with her long after he left. The village elder suggested that parents and children gather one afternoon to talk about safety and awareness. It was not a strict meeting, but a shared conversation. People sat together, telling stories, asking questions, and learning from each other. Children listened closely. Adults listened too. The village grew stronger through understanding, not rules. As time passed, the story became something people shared carefully. It was never told to scare, only to teach. New families who moved into the village heard it as a reminder. Visitors heard it as advice. It became part of the village's quiet wisdom. The girl grew older. Seasons changed around her. Spring brought flowers, summer brought warmth, autumn brought calm colors, and winter brought stillness. With each season, her understanding grew. She learned to read signs, to feel when something was not right, and to respect boundaries. These lessons helped her not only with animals, but with people and choices too. One day, much later, another horse passed through the village. This time, the girl watched from afar. She noticed how the adults handled the situation, how space was kept, how calm voices were used. She felt no sadness. Instead, she felt peace. She knew that some moments are beautiful because they are observed, not touched. The memory of the warning stayed clear in her mind, not as a shout, but as a turning point. It reminded her that messages matter, especially when they are shared with care and urgency. She understood that timing can change outcomes, and that responsibility often comes quietly without praise. Years later, the girl became someone others trusted. She listened carefully, spoke thoughtfully, and acted with awareness. When children came to her with questions, she answered patiently. When she saw danger, she spoke up. She did not ignore signs. She remembered how one voice, arriving just in time, had protected her and many others. The village itself carried forward the lesson. It remained peaceful, but now it was also mindful. People respected animals, land, and each other with deeper understanding. They did not assume safety, they practiced it. The story never ended with fear, it ended with growth. A simple message had traveled a long road, crossed delays, and reached the right moment. Because of that, no harm was done. Instead, wisdom was gained. On quiet evenings, when the wind moved softly through the fields, the girl, now older, sometimes thought back to that morning. She remembered the sun, the still air, and the pause before everything changed. She felt grateful. Not because something bad almost happened, but because something good did. She learned that life does not always give loud warnings. Sometimes it sends a message through people, timing, and choice. And when those messages are heard, they can turn uncertainty into understanding. The village slept peacefully under the stars, carrying forward a lesson born from a single moment. A message delivered in time. A hand stopped before it reached too far. And a life shaped not by fear, but by awareness, respect, and quiet wisdom that lasted forever.